Hello and welcome to another 3ABN Today program. Thank you for joining us as you do each and every day. Thank you for your love and your prayers and financial support as we endeavor to take this great gospel of the kingdom into all the world. And speaking of that, we have a friend here. He's not really a stranger. You've seen him before on 3ABN, but Brother David Cantor. David, how you doing?
Danny, it's a blessing to be here.
Well, it's good to have you back. Now, not necessarily under the circumstances, because when you come around, it seems like there's disaster. So now, nothing personal. This is not personal now, because you are the president of Acts World Relief. And as some of our viewers know, and many of those supported during Hurricane Katrina, that 3ABN worked closely with you and Bass Academy.
Right.
And literally what an opportunity, what a blessing that was to reach so many people. But you're here, and I have a feeling the folks can guess why this time, because Hurricane Sandy. And I want you to introduce, you have brought a couple guests with you. I want to introduce those, and then I'd like you to give me a little bit of comparisons of Katrina versus Sandy, for instance, for some of us who don't really know. So who you got with us here?
Danny, it's a pleasure that Debbie Baker is the administrator of Heritage Academy. And this is Josh, the dean of the boys at Heritage Academy.
Okay.
And the special thing about both of them there, they have deployed in over 34 deployments with us, taking out their whole school, 60 students going out, and the life-changing experiences. We're going to share just a few of those today.
Where is Heritage Academy?
We're located in Middle Tennessee, in Monterey.
Okay, all right. And yet you went all the way to the East Coast then on this, right?
We sure did.
Okay, now Josh, you're the dean of boys there. Josh Haley, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how long you been there?
I've been at Heritage Academy for 10 years as the head dean there.
Wow. You can tell, we can tell us older folks when we're getting older, because he just kind of looks like the students to me, just a little older, maybe a college student to me. Everybody looks young anymore, David. You know what I'm saying? Everybody looks young anymore. You've been there 10 years.
10 years.
I would never ask you how long you've been anywhere, right,
Thank you.
Debbie? I know better than that when it comes to women. Right, Josh?
That's right.
We tread softly in that area. But we're so glad that you guys are here. So from the Academy, let me ask you, first of all, what made you decide to go, and how do you prepare for something like this, and how many students did you take with you?
Well, we took all of our students. Initially, actually, Josh took 3 students with him for 3 days the week before. So he did a little legwork ahead of time, but then we took the rest of the students and about half of our staff to respond to Sandy for a week last week.
And what prepares you? In other words, you didn't just see this and say, I think we'll go. Have you had training in this?
Actually, all of our staff are CERT trained. That's Community Emergency Response Team training.
Wow.
And are all certified in first aid and CPR. As David mentioned, we've deployed in the low 30s, 34, 35 times to various deployments across the United States. So our students have lots of experience, and staff involved in a wide variety of disaster response, whether it's debris removal or mass feeding or setting up distribution sites and being able to distribute clothing and meals and ice and water and that sort of thing. So,
Now, Danny, another thing that might be interesting to the listeners is the badge that Debbie has on there.
Yes.
All of the students have on those, and it's called a NIMS compliant badge, National Incident Management Systems badge.
Okay.
Which means that's what the professionals wear. That's what we do. So it shows their training on it. They can scan in to show the kind of training, the amount of hours they do. But this allows them actually to respond with the emergency responders. When they see that kind of a badge, these are little things that are very important to help you get in to work with the professionals.
and about half of our students are also working locally with our fire department as junior firefighters.
Okay.
So they have a real strong network with our local community and do a lot within, our local area as well. So
That's great. Well, I have to say, David's one of the best organizers I've ever seen. This guy knows how to organize and how to get something done. He doesn't spend all of his time planning, and that's what I like. That's kind of the way we do here. We used to have a sign in our office that says, committees keep minutes but lose time. And so I think you kind of go by that sometimes because you guys have to be there.
That's right.
I mean, just like pronto if you're going to do any good. And that's what I found out about Katrina. Acts was there before almost anybody. I mean, honestly, when I was there, we didn't see the Red Cross. We didn't see, some of the other Salvation Army, whomever. We saw very few people where we were till a long time later. And you guys were there cooking thousands of meals, and I remember the Walmart parking lots were full of water and supplies, and people were driving, and I mean, a huge, huge undertaking, and Acts did it.
It's a real blessing, and of course you were a real blessing to be there as well and help, the audience see youth in action.
Yeah.
Youth's lives being changed through helping others, but also being a blessing. From the kitchens you saw back at Katrina, we now can cook 50,000 meals a day.
A day,
and,
wow.
And help with debris removal in a lot of different areas. And God has opened a lot of doors. But of course, to cook 50,000 meals a day, it takes a lot of funding.
Absolutely, and a lot of people, I assume.
And a lot of people think, oh, you're funded traditionally by the church, which we're not, as you know. And so it is a faith. Every time we start out, it's a faith step.
Well, tell me about Acts, and for those that don't know, what's it stand for?
Active Christians that serve is what Acts means. And actually now also, there's another name that I go with, and that's also rescuer, with all of our equipment, training globally. And so that's two names that you'll be seeing more and hearing of is Acts World Relief and Rescuer. But
I see you have a number of little emblems on you. You've got Acts, World Vision. What's this say? Swiftwater
Well, the beautiful thing about this is it's just illustrating, in order to respond in disaster response, it's called collaboration. Collaborating is what makes it possible, because we're only a little pebble in the big pond. But as when we unite together, it creates a movement. Including with our youth from many academies and universities that we'll be talking about. But here you find Acts World Relief, and then you find World Vision. World Vision has 1,400 Adventists employed with it. Great Christian movement, sharing the Bible and prayer with people. But they asked me to start training, which we're going to share in just a few moments. But in the last 4 months, I've been in 11 different countries, training 3,500 young people, pathfinders, master guides, and a lot of churches. So they like the spiritual. So that's the collaboration here. On this side, my daughter and I were trained years ago with Rescue 3 International. That's the largest training rescue organization in the world. So legally, we've partnered together because they saw what we do. They like the model of a spiritual training. We're training for emergency response chaplaincy now, as a number of silo tracks. But the neat thing is to have the honor of partnering with other people who are very credible in the field. So now we can train our youth, we can train at universities around the world with the highest credible training organization. The firemen have to take their training, search and rescue teams from Rescue 3 International. So now we're developing a lot of courses so that with our youth, they can be the most trained in the world.
Wow, that's great. When you of course, we all heard about Sandy when it happened. You went there. What was your appraisal of the situation compared to devastation, the amount of people's lives who were impacted compared to Katrina, for instance, for those of us who more in the center of the country or on the West Coast that wasn't really there?
I'd like to turn it to Josh. Josh is actually in charge of our first response team. So he takes out that first unit that goes in, and basically he started from Atlantic City, worked his way Toms River going up north. And Josh, why don't you share, you were at Katrina, you've been in many deployments. How would you compare Sandy to Katrina or many others?
Yeah, David, probably the biggest difference that I'd say is the widespread power outages all the way up the whole coast through New York City. And each person trying to live in the environment of no hot water, plus all the cold weather. So the difference in comparisons is, it was September, I think, when Katrina hit. It was hot. Here we are, end of October, and a lot of snow happening at the same time. So people are, when you were speaking to them, taking cold showers, you know, and freezing cold weather. And, you know, I can do it for 2 seconds and just get out there. And, you know, so talking to them and learning from their experiences that they went through and what they're living each and every day, even today, there's, you know, still lots of people without power.
So Josh, you were out there, you also met Union College.
Yes.
They drove all the way from Lincoln, Nebraska, because they wanted to come deploy as well.
Yeah.
So you and Union started networking really quick. As soon as they called me, we got them on the road.
We did. They traveled a very long distance. I
Maybe
think
we could show that picture of Union College in action if you have that one. There you go.
Yeah, I think they went over 20 hours in travel. They had a team of 12, I think, in a van, and ready to do swiftwater rescue as they're trained to do. And they ended up working with us a little bit. We brought some supplies, some rakes and some chainsaws there the first few days.
Why don't we show some of the chainsawing that you like to do a lot with your crews.
We do.
There's Josh right there.
It's important, the motto of CERT, to be safe with your students, so it's good that they're trained before they go out. And I know that with Union it was a little bit more of a challenge to kind of change gears there for a couple of days, but it's really good to collaborate with really whoever you're working with out there, and to help people, you know, trees over driveways, on their houses, blocking the road, whatever you might do to try to help out in those first few days.
So how many were in your team again?
I think we actually had 6 the first day when we traveled up, and then we ended up bringing the whole school, which
Good.
we have 57
Did you know where you were
students.
going to go? I mean, did you have this plan, or are you just trying to see where the needs are the most?
Well, it's always important to try to network with the different people, the EOCs that are out there, to
Emergency Operations Centers.
to work together with them to make sure you're getting in the right place. But sometimes there's spur of the moment situations where somebody might need help, or you might work with a different city that needs, you know, certain services, and you just...
Debbie might share a little insight into your question there.
Okay.
She worked with the Emergency Operations Center and at the high school, the main distribution center in Hoboken.
That's right.
So share that miracle of how networking with others kind of spiraled into a way that God was leading.
You know, it was just exciting to watch how the Holy Spirit just worked everything out with bringing people together. We had planned on going to Hoboken first, and plans changed, and we're going to head down to the conference office. But the kids were expecting it to go to Hoboken, so we thought we'd go to the conference office via Hoboken and just let them kind of see a little bit, you know. And it ended up on the way there that a woman who happens to be an Adventist has a contact with the mayor's office and knew they needed help at the Hoboken High School. On our way to the Hoboken High School, we had our bus and a box truck pulling a trailer, had a little fender bender, if you've ever driven in New York.
Oh, I have.
It's very narrow streets and very difficult to maneuver. So we had a little fender bender on the way. Satan just knows what to do to put roadblocks in the way, you know. But they really helped us navigate back to the high school, and we worked until midnight. We got there about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, worked until about midnight, working with the...
Let me pause for just a moment. The CERT director, when I spoke with him on the phone, I said, there are 60 CERT-trained young people 30 minutes away from you. Do you need their help? And he said, if they can come and meet me, I will kiss them all on both cheeks.
And he did. He did. A very sweet man, and was just, I mean, enamored at the hard work. And you know, when you've worked with young people, they are just, they're strong, they're vital. I mean, it's just, they just jumped right in. Anything that needed to be done, they were right at the edge. And so it was really a pleasure to watch them.
Here you are with the National Guard, opening up that door. Share with us some miracles about how God continued to open. I mean, you like to use a principle I've noticed in the field through the years. Here they are unloading with the National Guard. Your principle of how do you depend on the Holy Spirit and flexibility one day at a time?
Well, you know, not knowing that we were going to be headed that way, and even